Hello again, this is Roger Mark from Billings, Montana, and I'm going to edit a little bit this film and video on thoughts on suicide prevention. Sitting on the bench. It's a Mormon channel video, and it's very personal to me because I've thought about doing this several times and I haven't done it, but I've come way too close. The frustration of this life and the many problems with this life have just been too much, almost too much, too many times. There's especially one important, two or three important areas in here that I'd like to talk about. Go with me on this journey and look at this video and think about the consequences of taking one's life and how it affects other people beyond yourself.
If there are any who are thinking about giving up on the challenges of life, my message is every human soul is precious.
We are all precious. It's an individual battle, but we don't have to be alone.
My name's Nate Olson. My dad's an artist and he does a lot of Christian artwork. And so he had an idea for a painting called Lost and Found. And in that painting, there's Jesus sitting on a park bench with a teenager. But my dad chose my best friend Dan to be the model for that painting.
This Dan, a sad story with him, but it's important that we understand a little bit about Dan and where this other guy's coming from. There's two or three guys here. Anyhow, onward.
Ever since, ninth grade, I knew that he had struggles with depression. It was about 10 years after the painting was completed and released that Dan ended up taking his life.
What a waste, but, if you let depression get to you and the thoughts get to you, you will do something stupid and you will take your life. To think it's the only way to get the monkey off your back. It's not, but you start going down that road and then you think that way and then you act that way.
I think that I felt the full spectrum of emotions. At first there was sort of that shock, not knowing it's real, and then when it really hits you that, that your friend's gone, you're not going to be able to see him and talk to him again. I was upset that now I had to live with a lot of questions and wondering what role did I play in this and what could I have done better. I wish he would have given me an opportunity to sit on the bench with him, talk to him, and to give me an opportunity to show him why I love him and why.
Now, it's important for people to understand that you do love them, but sometimes even that isn't enough to prevent them from doing that. Sometimes you need psychological intervention. Sometimes you need medical help. Sometimes you do need prescriptions. But a lot of times you just need people to love and care for you. And sometimes even that isn't enough. So it's a combination of things. I'm no expert, but I know that there's various degrees of depression, and some are so severe that you better get help or you will be in trouble and you will make attempt at suicide. Some people have made several attempts. Anyhow, we do love the individuals. They do make a difference. But sometimes they don't feel that. They don't understand that. They don't see that. They don't even appreciate that because of the...
I need him and why I want him to be around for 50 years.
The most common sources of pain for a person who's having suicidal thoughts include feeling disconnected from others, feeling
disconnected from others. That's a big one.
Alienated from others.
Alienated from others. Another big one.
Or feeling that relationships have never materialized.
Relationships never materialized, or certain things that they've wanted in this life have not materialized. Not just relationships, financial, other things, leadership, other frustrations.
The other common source of pain is feeling like a burden to others, that people would be better off without me.
Now, I think that's real common, especially if you're frustrated with where your life is going and what you've done. Especially if you've been a source of problems in other people's lives. That's real common.
When those are combined with hopelessness, that this is not going to change, that is where suicidal thoughts become risky.
This is not going to change. You know, everything you've done is not working. So I've been there, I've done that, right on the edge, way too many times. I know things do change, whether you get older or other things, but this loneliness, this handling it or working with it on your own, it's very risky, especially when you're so depressed or frustrated with different things in your life and the outcome of those things. And there's more I could say on that, but I'll just go on here.
So my name's Seth Adam Smith. I'm a writer and a blogger. I had struggled with depression all throughout my life. I never really recognized it for what it was. But around the time I was 20, my depression sort of collapsed on me. And I felt like I was drowning.
That's interesting. I felt like I was drowning. There's the hopelessness again.
It got so severe that I didn't know how to escape it.
That's it. You want to escape it, but you can't. You probably need help or other things, medically or otherwise. But you really feel like there is no escape from the darkness and the pain and the suffering. And it's not just in your head. It's real because of the feelings and the associations and your thoughts that you have with it. It's real to you.
Closed in on myself. I spent a lot of time alone. I pushed people out of my life. I didn't know how to explain what was happening to me. And when you're in that, when you're in the thick of it, it really just feels like you're the only one.
It feels like that, but you aren't the only one. And if you're missing or gone, you will affect others, whether it's family members, loved ones, associates, friends. You will affect them when you leave like that.
Everything just came to a head one day, and I looked at my life and I realized everything was just broken. I couldn't fix anything.
There again, everything is broken. I can't fix anything. The hopelessness, the loss, the frustration. For some people, it just can be too much.
Couldn't control anything. I just felt like all my life just spun out of control. I went to work. I clocked in for about 40 minutes. My brother Sean was one of my supervisors and left my cell phone there and left the office. I went home. I took a bottle of sleeping pills and half a bottle of painkillers. And then I went into the garage and crawled inside the car there and turned on the engine. I would have died had my dad not received a phone call from my brother Sean and felt like he needed to come and find me.
He would have died. He would have killed himself. But Dad called the father, and the father got him and saved him.
Waking up in the hospital was agony. And then they took me home, and I remember my brother Sean put his arm around me and walked me into my room and laid me down on my bed. I remember waking up several hours later, and Sean was still sitting there on the bed. And I thought maybe he's here because he thinks I'm gonna try to take my life again or something. And I said, Sean, I'm all right. I just need to be alone right now. I said, you can go. And he was really quiet. He said, you know, Seth, I almost lost my little brother.
See, it does affect family members. You are hurting someone else besides yourself. There's children, grandchildren, mother, fathers, friends, associates. You're not in this world alone. You have affected and touched other individuals.
I don't think I'm going to go anywhere for a while. I'm just going to sit here with you for a bit. I think that was the first time that I recognized that there was a world outside of myself.
That's the key point. That's a turning point. There is a world outside of yourself. You get so wrapped up in yourself and your suffering and your loneliness, your depression, your frustration, the negative things of this life, that it could be a spiral, a dark hole that you just keep sinking in. You got to find a way to rope to get out, and you got to get some light.
I started to see that there were people outside of my own life that actually cared about me and that loved me and wanted to see me succeed and live and contribute to their lives.
Did you hear that? The people that actually loved him outside of himself, that wanted to see him succeed, wanted him to contribute to their lives, wanted him to be around. You got to get out of yourself in this dark hole.
And I hadn't been seeing that before.
Hadn't been seeing that before. There's the new light. There's no new hope.
I realized he was going to get all that talking with my parents, with with therapists, and I realized he probably just needed someone just to hang out with. I took work off for a week, and we just sat and watched movies and played games and talked about girls, and if he wanted to talk about it, he could talk about it.
My family, they're not doctors, they're not counselors, they're accountants, you know, and I'm sure that they felt overwhelmed, you know, like, we're not qualified to talk about this. We don't know what to say and what to do. But the mere fact that they reached out to me in love, that is what did it.
They reached out in love. They brought him back.
Sometimes just sharing the load, being someone to sit with you. I mean, my brother Sean hardly said a word, you know. He didn't know what to say. But what he did, what my brother did, is what changed my life.
There is nothing more powerful than the arm of love that can be put around those who are struggling.
The arm of love put around those that are struggling. They need to feel that they're loved, they're needed, they're wanted, and they'll be missed. But just as importantly, they need professional help in a lot of cases, and they need to learn how to deal with and work through their depression and overcome it with medical and emotional help and spiritual help and even physical help. They need to know that they're not alone and the struggle can be overcome. But we need to be wise about how we battle with this struggle, this mental illness, this emotional illness called depression.
Doesn't mean that you're going to be able to heal people, but saying, you know, you need a little help. I think we can have an impact in guiding people to some of the resources that are available that they may have no idea exist. I say we keep our antennas up, we watch out for each other, we love one another, and we leave the judgments, the eternal judgments, to our Heavenly Father and to the Lord Jesus Christ, who know all things.
So don't judge people, just love them and help them and be there for them and watch out for them so they can see and get the help they need to take their lives. That's a powerful message. Again, this is Roger Martin from Billings, Montana. I hope this is short enough to keep, and we'll go from there.